Yahya Sinwar, a key figure in all this, the Israel-Hamas conflict, he's dead.
Yeah.
And we're diving straight into this. This is breaking news from NBC News, just published today.
Ah,
So things are very much still developing.
right.
But this does feel significant, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sinwar wasn't just some, just the leader. He was a driving force in Hamas for decades.
Right.
Like, this has the potential, I think, to really reshape the entire conflict as we know it.
The article paints this fascinating, I don't know, almost paradoxical picture of the man.
Yeah.
He becomes a founding member of Hamas way back in the 1980s,
Right.
then spends, get this, over 2 decades in an Israeli prison.
Oh, wow.
And it's during this time that he really hones his understanding of Israel.
Think about that. Like, your captor becomes your unwitting teacher. Anyway,
Right.
he learns Hebrew, he studies their culture,
Wow.
gains these deep insights into, the Israeli psyche.
Yeah.
And I think it's this unique perspective, this understanding of both sides of the conflict that made him such a formidable leader.
It's almost, I don't know.
Shakespearean.
Yeah, like Shakespearean, this trajectory.
Yeah.
You go from being imprisoned by a nation to leading the very organization that's fighting against it.
Right, right.
And then Sinwar orchestrates that massive attack in 2023, escalating the conflict even further,
Yeah.
which brings us to his death.
Okay.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
He wasn't killed in some targeted assassination, which I think many people might assume.
Right, right.
The article says it was during a routine Israeli military operation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that detail is crucial, I think, because it suggests a possible shift in tactics from Israel
Okay.
while they haven't claimed responsibility, and it's still early. It seems unlikely that such a high-profile figure would be killed unintentionally.
Right.
So could this signal a deliberate escalation on their part?
It's like, I don't know, throwing gasoline on an already out-of-control fire, isn't it?
Yeah.
This death, this potential signal from Israel,
Right.
what are the implications here?
It's incredibly volatile right now, and I think the kind of the global reaction really underscores that. The article highlights, the stark contrast in responses. You have Israel celebrating Sinwar's death,
Right.
Framing it as a victory, as you might expect.
Yeah.
While Hamas has remained, at least as of yet, completely silent.
Yeah.
And then you even have, Vice President Harris weighing in, calling it justice served.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a really, really tense situation.
What do you make of that silence, though? That calculated lack of response?
Yeah, it's deafening, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to wonder what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Is it strategic? Is there a power vacuum waiting to be filled?
Yeah.
All of those things are on the table.
Right.
Sinwar was a powerful figure, but he wasn't without his critics, even within Hamas.
Right.
So this could be, this could be the catalyst for internal power struggles.
Yeah.
Which, adds another layer of complexity to an already,
To an already intricate situation.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we're left with this, I don't know, this unsettling question of what comes next.
Right.
Could this, as some are suggesting, pave the way for new leadership in Hamas?
Right.
Someone more open to dialogue, to peace?
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. I don't,
Right.
we need to be careful about assuming that that a more,
Yes.
moderate leader would just automatically emerge.
Right.
Remember Sinwar's hardline stance against peace talks
Yeah.
is shared by many within Hamas.
Right.
This is an organization with, deep-rooted beliefs shaped by decades of conflict.
Yeah, and that's what's so, I don't know, unnerving about this whole situation.
Right.
Is that this sense that, this death, whether it's a calculated move by Israel or not, it could just as easily lead to,
Oh, absolutely.
even more violence, more retaliation.
I mean, it's a heartbreaking pattern that we've seen play out
Yeah.
time and time again in this conflict, this cycle of violence
Boy, I can
that
tell you.
seems almost impossible to break.
Yeah.
And it's a cycle that Sinwar himself seemed to believe in.
Yeah.
The article quotes him from December of last year,
Okay.
asserting that Hamas could, quote, continue fighting for months.
Right.
So even with his death, it seems like, the organization is prepared for a prolonged conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a heavy thought.
Yeah.
This idea that even in death, Sinwar's legacy could be more violence.
Yeah, it highlights, I think, the deeply rooted nature of this conflict, when you say.
Yeah,
It's a stark reminder that there are no easy answers here.
right.
No quick
And it
fixes.
throws into sharp relief this question of what's next?
Oh, yeah.
Where do we go from here?
That's what makes this article so fascinating, so timely.
Yeah.
It doesn't give us the answers, right? But it illuminates, I think, the potential consequences of Sinwar's death,
Yeah.
both for Israel and for Hamas.
Right.
And it encourages us, I think, to look beyond the headlines and really kind of grapple with the complexities of this decades-long struggle.
Sinwar's life, I mean, from his early days in Hamas to his time in prison to his rise to leadership, it was so deeply interwoven with this conflict.
Absolutely.
It's almost impossible to separate the man from the movement.
Yeah, and now his death, I mean, regardless of the circumstances surrounding it,
Right.
has the potential to kind of, rewrite the narrative once again.
Yeah. It begs the question, will this be a turning point,
Right.
a catalyst for change?
Right.
However unlikely that may seem right now.
Yeah. Or will it simply be another chapter in this tragic cycle of violence?
Right.
I mean, that's the question we're left grappling with, and
Yeah.
it's a question I suspect will continue to define this conflict,
Yeah.
for years to come.
Indeed, a sobering thought,
Yeah.
but a crucial conversation to have.
Absolutely.
As we continue to follow this developing story, the need for thoughtful analysis, for nuanced understanding,
Yeah.
has never been greater.
I completely agree.
Thank you for diving into this complex issue with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll be back soon to explore another pressing topic in depth, but until then, keep asking those tough questions.